Welcome to Celebrating Everyday People, where we recognize those amazing people doing amazing work out there. My co host is Malcolm Berman, and my name is Yana Larson. You can find us on malcolmpresents.com and on Malcolm's YouTube. We also have a Facebook page, and we're on Buzzsprout and all major directories and beyond as we enhance our online presence. Today, our guest is Kristina Malcolm. Kristina is an award winning metalsmith, educator, writer, and longtime studio artist based in Northeast Ohio. She holds a master's degree in fine art, craft with a focus in jewelry, metals, and enameling from Kent State University. Yay! And brings more than 30 years of experience in metalsmithing, sculpture, jewelry, and teaching. Since 2004, she has run her own jewelry and metalsmithing business, creating one of a kind work and teaching students through universities, craft schools, and community programs. Her current research, Healing Hands, explores the connection between making, movement, play, and well being, and how hands on creative practice can support confidence, emotional regulation, and connection. In addition to teaching studio based craft, Kristina also teaches professional writing workshops that help artists communicate clearly about their work, their process, and their purpose. She is also active in civic life as a poll election official and a member of the League of Women Voters. Kristina is especially passionate about helping people discover that creativity is not about perfection. It is about curiosity, resilience, and the courage to keep making. Welcome, Kristina. So nice to
Thank
have you
you.
here.
Thank you both for having me. I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we're happy you're here. Where should we start?
Well, we can talk about anything you'd like to talk about.
Well, I have a
Well, I
question.
noticed when I met you that you were wearing some pretty incredible jewelry, and I love jewelry. And so we were talking about the price of silver, and I noticed you had a lot of silver in your work. Can you show
Yes.
a couple pieces?
Right. Well, in my lap, in one of my most largest to date statement pieces this is cast silver. This is 8 ounces, troy ounces even, so it's even bigger than than a normal ounce. But this is cast sterling, and
Oh,
I made this during the Artemis mission, and I just love this texture that it looks kind of like the moon. So I
yeah.
named this bracelet Terra Luna. It's
Ah,
cast into a piece of tufa stone, and if you're not a geology major, you might not know what tufa stone is, but here in the United States, it only happens in the Southwest, like in California and Nevada, Arizona area, the north of the Southwest. And this process of casting has been only around for about 200 years. And it's a process that was developed by the First People nations around in the area that were like the Zuni, the Hopi, and there's one other tribe. I hope that will pop into my head. But those,
Navajo.
it, right, the Dene or the Navajo, correct.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the people who first invented this technique, and they took this. It's kind of a soft, I guess stone is kind of misleading. It is a compressed ash, so it carves really nicely, almost like a florist foam consistency. So 200 years ago, they figured out that you could take this stone and carve it into just about anything. So they first started using it to make ingots and like larger pieces to refine silver, and then they started making jewelry, and it's quite a rich history. And that texture is just something you cannot get in any other casting method.
Wow. I never knew about that. Very cool.
Yeah,
And you had a ring that you wore. Do you have that
yeah.
handy?
So I I probably should have brought some kinetic work with me because I like making work that's interactive, and there's a lot of good things that happen in the brain when you have to make decisions that come along with interactive work. But I have some larger pieces that I wanted to share since we're talking about big
I love
silver.
that.
So these kind of stones are called cabochon stones. So they're domed on top and they don't have faces like a faceted stone like you'd find in a wedding ring set. So these are kind of what you would not as valuable financially as faceted stones, but I think they
They're
have more
beautiful.
personality, and
Yeah.
I love it. This is a great big
Yeah.
garnet, and this is a opal in the matrix. So the dark area that you see is the matrix or the host stone where the opal lives.
So you
This
do
one
lapidary work too,
uh,
then?
so I have all of the equipment tucked away in storage, and I find my time is best spent teaching these days. So I will be getting all of that equipment out, and I love supporting the artists that make these. They're
Yeah.
called lapidary artists, and we have some really local shows that the Lapidary Club puts on twice a year. This is a really rare and special stone. I hope it does justice, but this is a green moonstone. So
Ooh, I've
in
heard of
that,
moonstone.
yeah, moonstone family, there's sunstone, there's labradorite, and there is this green moonstone and iolite is in this family, which is the feldspar family of geology. And these have an optical quality that I don't think is showing up on the camera, but it's called a schiller. It makes like a little shimmery, like the iridescence of oil on a
Mhm.
puddle. So you get
Yeah,
some shimmer happening in the top of the stone that's just amazing and very unique to
tricky.
Now,
feldspar family.
now,
Yeah.
how do you price this, when you sell it?
So sometimes I fall in love with things and I know from the beginning I'm not going to sell it. But I have a part of my job as an artist is I do have a production line. So it's intention when I go into making the work. Oh, I'm making this for myself versus, oh, I'm making this to make money. So I do intentionally lighten things up. When I travel to shows, like I do a lot of festivals and art type shows in the summertime and through Christmas here in Ohio. But I try to make things in a price range that's reasonable. Before the price of silver skyrocketed, my sweet spot was about $70 because that seemed to be the price that everybody could go, oh, I can just buy this and I don't have to make big financial decisions right now. And I would really try to have the gamut of from $70 down so people could just make an intuitive buy and didn't have to consult their bank accounts. Um, but I would also have bigger pieces available to really show off what I could do, just, to have the extremes. So that's all changed because, and I really think maybe every expanded out to every artist in general is having a hard time negotiating how we price our pieces with the rapid changes in material costs and just everyday cost of living, gas prices skyrocketing. All of that has to go into how we consider. So I think as artists, not just metalsmiths, but yarn artists, everybody,
Yeah.
painters really have to figure out how to start recycling more and reusing what they already have instead of jumping in and buying new materials
The
all the
life of an artist, it's never easy, but
right.
it's can also be so satisfying.
Do you have a web page where people can look, where you could sell your things that you could look at?
Yes.
Because
So my name,
I'm thinking about what's hard. I've been married 30 years, and I probably got my wife everything.
yeah.
But the thing is, I'm always looking for something. I'm always looking for something at a reasonable cost.
Well, when
And
I do
unique.
custom work, I always like to talk about price up front. What's your window? What are we looking at? So we can have, an educated discussion going into planning custom work. So
So you do
Yeah.
commission work then?
Yes, I do. I have some examples. So I do a lot more on my social media than my website, but my Instagram is my name, Kristina Malcolm, all lowercase with the K, Malcolm with two L's and
Right.
underscore between my first name and last name. And then my website is KristinaMalcolm.com.
Okay, because
All
I'd like to
right.
buy something that would be unique. When you make some jewelry, do you make only one of a kind, or do you do any mass producing of them?
So I was talking about those pieces that are $70 and less. That is, so maybe you would define it as mass produced, but everything that I make is handmade. So every time I bend something or saw something out by hand, it's going to be the same design, but I can't make the same thing twice. But on those bigger pieces that are getting above $100, $200, those are one of kind. Those stones that I was showing you in these rings, those can't be
Good.
replicated.
That's pretty.
And
Oh,
I'm looking at the things that you showed us. I'm saying that would be perfect for Anna.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Mother's Day, her birthday, and Christmas. So it's at least 3 times a year.
Yep.
and just because.
Right.
Right.
And yes, other times, gee, I really feel good. Let's buy something. Surprise her.
Yep.
Well, tell us about Healing Hands.
Okay. So 2017, I went back to school to get my master's degree at Kent State University, and it just happened to be exactly uh 20 years after I had graduated doing my undergraduate work. So I waited a little bit. And for my research, for a master's degree, it is a terminal degree in fine art. Um, you have to write a paper, very long paper, and do an accompanying body of work, basically a gallery full of work that supports what you find in your written thesis. So at the time, I was studying how interactive work affected the brain. So basically, what we're looking at is kind of if you are familiar with Carl Jung and his play therapy and art therapy framework, that is kind of where I started with this idea. And I took those concepts and I created large wearable sculpture for my thesis work. And the whole idea was that you were taking a little bit of a risk and there was agency involved. And that's kind of where it started. 2 years after I graduated with that master's degree, my parents almost died in a car crash. So
Oh,
it was horrible. It was just a couple days before Christmas, the 23rd of
oh,
December. And my mom broke 14 bones in 16 places. It was uh, quite an amazing battle to have getting them rehabilitated, and I ended up moving in with them to help them get back on their feet. And I knew when I was in the hospital that they were so depressed and so down about everything that was happening. I mean, my mom had to have a stent put on her aorta because her aorta had torn, and my dad was dealing with the guilt of having almost killed my mom. So I instinctively knew that I had to get their hands moving because those synapses are connected to your hands. Neuroplasticity is a really hot word right now, and it happens when your hands are moving and you're making all these micro decisions. And so, as soon as I got both of them home, and able to sit up on their own, I was doing things like needle felting with them, which I don't know if you two know needle felting, but it's that repetitive stabbing over and over is quite cathartic. And we were doing things like crocheting and like sharinky dinks and silly things, but things where they were moving. So
mhm.
that was really important to me to get them rehabilitated, and they are good. My dad has continuing health problems and has had a stroke, yada yada. But my mom has made a full recovery for an 82-year-old.
Wow.
2 years after that, no, 1 year, excuse me, after that. So just like 18 months ago, my aunt had a stroke and fell and spent 36 hours on the floor in her condominium because she couldn't get herself
Wow.
up. And we moved her into an assisted living facility because that the shock of that made my dad have another cardiac event at exactly the same time. So we kind of had to move her into an assisted living place so we could take care of both at the same time. And I was seeing at the assisted living place the activities that they were offering these fully functional adults were kindergarten art. Kindergarten art has its own place and its own function, which is hand-eye coordination in the classroom. Functioning adults can already have the hand-eye coordination, and that's down. That's good. They have muscle memory associated with these tasks already. To me, it's degrading to offer these activities to these seniors. And I just had the idea of this whole framework that was based on craft with a capital C. So things that you're doing like ceramics and scrapbooking and quilting and things like that, and how that gives people agency because of the decisions that you're making. I mentioned those micro decisions just a minute ago. But I took all this framework and I wrote this great big proposal about how having a craft, like a maker space in senior homes, would
Hmm.
be fantastic for this whole concept. And perhaps a holiday shop or a gift shop where they're making things to sell, or an Etsy page where they can submit work to be sold. So I started by writing that paper. That paper ended up being 22 pages. It was longer than my thesis. And I loved it, and I was giving it to everybody, and I'm trying to change this mode of operation in these elder patients. And I'm like, I need to publish this. So I contacted a whole bunch of journals and medical thing, and I actually had the American Journal of Arts Therapy give me some feedback, and they said, if you change this so that instead of we're just looking at elder geriatric patients, we're looking at everybody and applying this to everyone, we will publish this for you. So this was last February. I sat down with that rough draft. It was titled Healing Hands, and I changed everything, just kind of threw everything up in the air, took out the word geriatric, elder, all of those qualifying words, and kind of put everything back together, added some real art therapy suggestions on activities. And what I am doing now is giving a workshop in June. It is called Healing Hands. It is through Pocosin Arts. They are a place where you can take all kinds of different art classes. They're out of it's Columbia, North Carolina, but this class is offered online, so anybody can take it. They just need to go to that website. And I've kind of distilled everything down and made all of these handouts and methods. Perhaps you both are familiar with the concept of flow state, how to get into flow state faster as a maker. It's kind of just to explain it. I see you nodding your head quickly. Is when you are in the act of making, you get to a point where you feel like everything is going, you are building momentum. It's kind of a pause, a deep breath, but a slowing of time, almost like everything's connecting and just in exactly the right place for your
Sounds very
project.
Zen.
Yeah,
Yes.
Christine, I hate to rush you, but our time is we have less than a minute left.
Okay.
Do you have any videos that people could listen to, or how can they get a hold of you?
So, on my website, I've got all kinds of contact me. You can message me through my social media. I have videos on my website of me working. I have videos on my social media. And actually, there's a Kicking It with Kenny episode, which is a small news network here that did a little snippet of me
Okay,
working on the news, and that's in YouTube.
could you give us your website again?
KristinaMalcolm.com.
Okay.
Christina
Oh, but
with a
by the
K.
way, for me to quickly end something, there's a book that there's a myth that they say that the brain doesn't grow,
I
but it does.
It does, and I believe that there has been evidence to the contrary just recently. It's been
Right,
within the last 2 years that I do believe that they are saying
right. And
seeing
I'm forgetting the name of the book that I just read, but it says like they showed when people learn the
right.
synapses on the brain go to
Yes.
are growing. It's not dead. But anyway, it's the end of our time. We have to have you on again, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so Kristina, I'll bug you again. Of course, I'll be seeing you because we're
Yeah.
going to be working together with League of Women Voters. But I would really like to follow up and see how you're doing with that. And thank you so much for being
Yeah, thank you
here.
very much. And
So
wrap it
now I
up.
have our closing. We hope you have enjoyed our show. If you have any questions or comments, please send us a message at malcolmpresents@gmail.com. And remember, you can find us at malcolmpresents.com and YouTube, and Celebrating Everyday People on Facebook and Buzzsprout. Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you.